Hi my friends, it's the 5th of April 2021 and pouring rain again. We've been getting just so much rain here, it's unbelievable. I haven't actually been counting, but it feels like more than a month of rain, hey? And we had in the middle of that month we've had a few days of sunshine, and then the rain just came back again. So I decided I'd give you a bit of a window tour. A tour of my garden from the windows, because it's pretty wet and miserable out there. And this is a good view of my Hawaiian papaya, because I'm on the second story here. And I just wanted you to see just how horizontal this branch is. And it's just what it wants to do, this papaya. It used to be taller than the roof originally. But back in about, I'm not even sure of a year, but quite a few years ago, the cyclone hit it. A big cyclone, or typhoons as you'd call up north, in the northern hemisphere, and it snapped it in half. So, and even the remaining trunk even was on a 45-degree angle, but I pulled it all back up straight with a winch and put a bucket over it. Just came through, and this area just caught the tail end of it, and it was pretty big. It was like, been massive damage over a huge area of southeast Queensland and even northern New South Wales. And we were lucky, really. We got some bad winds and some really heavy rain, and and those bad winds just got the better of everything. Pretty strong gusts, very powerful gusts that knocked them over. That's the male. And that's what's left of my female. If you remember, it was taller than the house. It was just laden in big heavy fruits. It had at least 60 fruit on it. I would have been eating 2 or 3 papaya or yellow pawpaws every week for the next 6 or 8 months, and I lost a lot. But luckily, good thing I planted the red papaya, that's for sure. Good thing I planted those seeds back in, when was that, October I think, September, October. And now, they've all survived. One of the lower branches is still there, and there's still a little bit of fruit, so, try and look at the bright side, I guess. That's very sad. I'm really disappointed. Really disappointed, because I guess I just spoil these trees, I put a lot of time into them, and as like a hobby, it's therapy even, it's just good therapy for my brain, I think, to just fiddle around with these things. And I've already put a bucket over the top where it's broken there, and I'm gonna have to pull it back because it's really leaning over into the neighbour's yard now, those fruit. So in a lot of ways I'd prefer not to have anything done to it now, I think. But I'm gonna string a rope up to the house and try and pull that up a bit straighter. So that's probably going to break a few more roots. But then, you know, because it's leaning against the fence now, it's probably going to be pretty stable now. But, you know, most of the plant's going to be growing in the neighbour's yard then. It's going to be really hard to reach the fruit, so I've got to try and pull it back up fairly straight and embrace it a bit more after that, I think. And fingers crossed it'll keep going. Let's see, you know, yep, it's pulled out a lot of roots. It's lifted up quite badly. Yeah, let's see, I've put this little bucket over where it broke off. Just got that little bit left. And the rest of the trees in the neighbour's yard. You know, there's a lot of fruit there that's going to go to waste. Such a shame. And I'm sure the neighbours aren't real happy about it either. Such a shame. Anyway, that's life. And it just kept going. Now it just throws out all these branches. But if I'm not careful, the branches just get too heavy and they snap off. So that's kind of what's happening with this branch. It's been like this for years and it just keeps growing horizontal. And you can see there I've got those steel bars bracing it, otherwise it would just snap off. But with the steel bars it's holding it pretty well. And for a few years I just had that one steel bar, but now I've just recently added this second steel bar because it was so close to snapping. So yeah, I've sort of got it cross braced there a little bit. They're big star pickets I've put in the ground, and then those steel bars. Perhaps timber would have been better, but I just had the bars lying around doing nothing, so I thought I'd put it to use. And as you can see, I'm about to get my first fruit. My first fruit there is going to be ripe in a few more days. And this head of fruit isn't as big as it usually gets this year, and I think it's because it's dropped lower. Well, it's almost lower than this new branch. So this new branch is the new leader, I think, and it's growing very fast really for its size and putting out quite a lot of fruit, and it's kind of taken over, I think. All the energy's sort of going into that branch now. And this one, it sort of drooped down so low. It used to be higher until a couple of months ago, and it's kind of drooped so low now that its growth has slowed. But there's still a fair few papayas there. Yeah, and this is my Hawaiian Gold Papaya, and it's delicious. It's the nicest yellow I've ever tasted. It's very good, and it feeds me well over winter for many years now. So yeah, that's sort of how it looks from up here. Isn't it amazing how horizontal it is, that branch? And yeah, there's a few other branches out there the other side. I lost another branch recently. It was putting on a lot of fruit and it just snapped off. I was planning on bracing it, but I just didn't think it'd snap off so early. So yeah, there's a few branches in there. And there's a few I want to marcot too, because I've got my Thai dwarfs there underneath, and they're sort of struggling to get enough sunshine now. So if I marcot a few branches, it'll also let in some more sunlight to my Thai dwarfs. And you get a bit of a looking down on my Thai dwarfs that are growing on that edge. I've got planted thickly in there, planted quite thick on the edge right next to the car. They're still doing really well. Ever since I gave them dynamic lifter, they're really bursting along. Yeah, no, it's just raining. It just sort of slowed down actually. But it's been going for hours, just constant. Okay, I'll give you a look out on my veranda. Have my dragon fruit, and I've got one marcot cutting there from that Hawaiian papaya. It's a marcot cutting I took a couple of years ago. And it was too shaded there for a while, but I've got it poking out in the sun now. So that marcot should do well soon, I'm hoping. Yeah, got a heap of aloe vera here. I'd really like to spread it out one day. That'd be nice if I can do that. That's the good Barbados strain of aloe vera, apparently the best strain for your skin for external use. Yeah, and that's my dragon fruit. Quite pop bound, and yeah, I had to chop a bit of dragon fruit off to get that Hawaiian Gold Papaya to stick out there. And I've topped it up with dynamic lifter. It's ready to get more fertiliser, and it'll get a lot of sun now in winter, because that's the north out that way, so there'll be a lot of winter sun, and that should really keep it healthy. They really like to get that winter sun, the papayas around here, otherwise it gets a bit too hard on them. It does get a bit too cold. Oh, I just noticed a couple of my dragon fruit flowered last night. I don't know if they'll set though. I didn't put any insects out or try to self-pollinate them, so perhaps I could lose those fruit. There's that one. I just noticed that one too. Who knows? This is my 4th harvest of dragon fruit, or trying to be, and it's really like I'm going to lose. That's another one. Oh, I can't really see. Maybe you can see better what's going on there. I think I'm probably going to lose that too. It's tended to be, well, last year I had 3 very uniform crops. No, 4 I mean, sorry. With, 8 to 10 fruit every crop. They all flowered at the same time, usually the same day or a day or two apart. But this year I've had 3 uniform crops, and the 4th crop's been very staggered. So over the last month it sort of throws out a couple of flowers, then a week or two later throws out a couple more flowers. Yeah, and it's very staggered. And it's probably put out 10 or more flowers in the last month, but they're just so far apart. It's just sort of 2 or 3 flowers at a time. And I don't know if you can see they're very pop bound. There's 2 there in just small pots. That pot there, and then I've got this one that I would like to move. I've got plans to move it actually and put it on a post and grow it professionally. Grow it the proper way on a post in a much sunnier spot. So yeah, that's the this did struggle for a month or so when I got it out in the full sun. It was a bit too bright for it, but now it's throwing out a few flowers, so it might even set some fruit soon. Yep, and the rain's come back again. So it only stopped there for 5-10 minutes, now it's happening again. Yeah, and that's my papayas there. I've been showing you, growing in the straw bales. Bit of pack tied in against that edge next to my car. See, they're doing quite well now. There's good dark colour in the leaves. So I really should have given them that dynamic lifter earlier. I was kind of late with that because I couldn't afford it. But it's really making a difference now. Since I put it down, it was almost 2 months ago. I top dressed with a dynamic lifter. And they are loving it. They really are. So yeah, I'm kind of tempted to stick the camera over the veranda so you can see better what's going on that way, but there's just too much rain going on there. Only one drop of water will kill this camera. So yeah, that's the patio. This is your continuing on with our window tour of the garden. And yeah, very busy road as you can see. And I've been lucky there, we've had a lot of sea breezes actually this summer, more than usual. So that's been good for my breeding. I find in winter that's when it gets bad. You don't get the sea breezes and there's just too much smoke here. And it just kills me, eh? It's just really caught up on me. Because I've been here 20 years now. So I never imagined I'd be living on a busy road in the suburbs for 20 years of my life, but it's just how things happen. And I guess it wasn't too bad. In many ways it's been the best years of my life. But it would be good for a change now. I need a change. I need to move somewhere with fresher air. Anyway, moving right along on our window tour. So yeah, in the house you can see it's very ragged. And I can't even clean it anymore. It's just, I get out of breath just moving my hands around. So just even cleaning gets me too out of breath. And it's so dusty. So, yeah, and that's the back window. You can't see anything. You can see a bit of a banana tree there. I got some papayas out there in that jungle. So yeah, the house is getting really worn. That's a gutter. It's just rusted out gutters that are just leaking. But yeah, this jungle has been quite a good nature trip. There's always birds breeding in it. Yeah. What else can I show you? And this was jungle until the contractors cleared it. This will hopefully be my future garden out here. I've got room to do a lot of things here. And I finally decided what I'd really like to do is I'd like to put 3 dragon fruit there on posts along that edge, or at least 3. And that's a good hot sunny spot. Be good for dragon fruit, and also it gets the street light up there. And apparently the lights at night really help the dragon fruit to produce more fruit. So could be a perfect spot. You get them on posts, into the ground, not in pots like on my veranda, and try and grow them professionally. And fingers crossed I'll get a lot of fruit. So yeah, that's how it is. That's a couple of months since it's been cleared. And there's thousands of macaranga seedlings coming up there from the old macarangas that were here. Those rainforest pioneer trees. I wish I could sell them actually. They would be good for any big reforestation projects. I could pull them out and sell them bare rooted. Mail them anywhere in Australia if people were interested. And I could sell them very cheap. Yeah, they're a fast growing native tree. They call them a native pioneer species. That they will create the shade and grow very fast, create the shade and create the environment for the more delicate rainforest trees to grow underneath. So that's sort of how nature takes back land and turns it back into rainforest. As these trees grow and grow quickly and get to 30 feet or so maximum, not a real lot bigger usually, 30, 40 feet, create the shade, and then other rainforest trees grow underneath in the shade. Yeah, but that's my new spot. That's going to be interesting. I've got that shade cloth. I haven't done anything basically for 2 months. It's almost 2 months since they cleared it. And the weather's been mostly bad the whole 2 months. And I don't move quick, I move pretty slow too. But yeah, I want to add some shade cloth up there up against that fence. Just to give things a bit more protection. And I would like to plant some more Thai dwarf papayas in there. Just because I've got some, I've got quite a few in pots, so it would be nice to put them in the ground somewhere, and I may as well put them there. Yeah, and then maybe in the future, all going well, I might plant a pomelo in there as well, and a soursop. Again, because I've already got those. So yeah, so that's that spot. It's very hot now. If you remember, this was all thick forest. It was all thick trees. You couldn't see outside. You couldn't see the road. You just saw the trees. So now it gets a lot of bright sunshine from that's the west out that way. So it just blasts. It gets really hot. But since the trees have come down, yeah, it's been a very wet season this year. Yeah, I'll show you out the back to my new future area. More future areas I hope to plant. Cleared ground. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you something. That's the little garden down there. It's really struggling to get enough light at the moment. Everything's sort of reaching for the sun. There's a heap of basil there that's really reaching up. Because it's, you know, it's a very low light spot anyway. And it's just been incredibly shady this last month especially, and even 2 months. Very wet times. Very wet season this time. Okay, and through this very messy, dirty house. And I better watch I don't get a drip of water on this. And that's all that edge where the ice cream bean used to be. And a few other macarangas. See, there's not much weed there actually. That's almost all macaranga seedlings. So I have thousands of macaranga seedlings. If anyone wants some. And yeah, I could mail them anywhere in Australia, bare rooted. Could put them in a bit of that water gel and I think they'd survive. And they'll be 6 inches tall soon. So, you know, I know they're a fairly common tree, but I think, you know, if anyone was after a large supply of them, there mightn't be many places with as many as I've got. So yeah, I've got thousands in there. Well, and a couple of trees have grown back. I didn't put enough kerosene on the stumps. So I've got to redo, and that's the macaranga there coming back. So that'll just take off again in no time. I'm not careful. Gonna have to get onto that pretty soon. And yeah, you can see there's another one of my Hawaiian Gold Papayas there. And there's a bunch of I wish I could give you a better look. There's a bunch of Thai dwarfs in there, dwarf Thais. In a very tight little spot. Really needs to be cleared back. I've got a mango down there underneath all that Madeira vine. Trying to survive. You'd love that Madeira vine cleared away so it could grow. Yeah, and 2 ladyfinger bananas there. Yeah, and still a fair few trees left. That's that Poinciana. That's just going to get huge now I've cleared those other trees. That's going to grow really quick. It's a pity I couldn't get that, take that tree down too, but it was $3 grand to chop it right down to the ground, because that's going to take over the whole yard very fast. I think, you know, maybe give it 5-7 years, and it's just going to, the canopy is, because it's been chopped back many times before, and the canopy just grows so quickly now because it's got such a root system on it. You know, the main trunk is big and solid. See that I've got a staghorn growing on it there too. Staghorn fern that I brought up from my farm 20 years ago. Yeah, so that's the window tour. You see, there's plenty of room to plant a lot more trees if I could just get on top of this jungle, but I don't have the health to do it anymore now. So, but this has given me a good head start. We've got that was one of the thickest parts, actually, that edge. So, you know, There's nothing holding me back now, just my health. I'm planting this out with fruit trees. And then, yeah, maybe I'll get onto the other stuff. Or if I'm really lucky, maybe I'll leave. That's what I really need to do. Find somewhere with cleaner air. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hi again, my friends. I just thought you might like to see this last bit. Well, I'm sure you're dying to have a good look at it. This is that fruit that was ripening up on the Hawaiian Gold Papaya at the beginning of the video. Now I picked it on the day I took the video, and a few days have passed now. I picked it when it was a little bit green because of the flying foxes around here. So I've just given it a few days to ripen up inside the house. Yeah, and just thought I'd give you a look at it and slice it open. Looks pretty nice, huh? And these are an excellent fruit. So this is the first fruit of 2021. They can get twice as big, but they often tend to be around this size or a little bit bigger. Sometimes a little smaller too, but they're generally around this size. Or something I'll point out, see how the shape is just a little, it's not real symmetrical. And I put that down to the sandy soils and lack of trace elements. Yeah, because the very first fruit that I got off this tree, oh, it was weird. It was really weird. And I thought, my God, it didn't taste very good either. The very first fruit that I got from this tree many years ago. Yeah, very weird looking, didn't taste very good. And I thought, trace elements. I'll give it trace elements, see what happens. And I gave it trace elements, and then it just really responded. It started putting out lots of fruit, and the fruit was much more symmetrical. Maybe that's the best word for it, huh? It was just much more symmetrical. And yeah, this one's just a little like, yeah, it's not real symmetrical, is it? It's a little kind of weird shaped. And I haven't really given it enough trace elements this last couple of years, so that could be the reason, hey? That could be the reason. I gave it a little bit of trace elements about 4 months ago, but to me, the way this fruit is a sign to add more trace elements. That's how I take it. But yeah, otherwise it should be very good. It's a beautiful fruit, this. The nicest yellow I've ever tried. The nicest yellow papaya I've ever eaten. So okay, we'll slice it open. Let's see if it lives up to what I'm saying. Yeah, and it just slices like soft butter. It's so soft. Look at that, hey? Not many seeds. That's usually how it is, because there's well, the male died, as you'll see in the beginning of the video. It had one male, but it died. But then it just kept fruiting. Perhaps something else was crossing it. I've got 3 new Hawaiian Gold Papayas now that I've grown from seed. Yeah, you see them out the back too. They were raised from seed. And so far they're living up to expectations. I've got a few fruit off them. But yeah, so I'll hang on to those seeds. I do have a small jar of seeds, but it might be getting a bit old, and I do want to plant some more of these. So as we can see, I think only the black seeds are going to sprout. It seems a bit more than half the seeds are light coloured, which suggests they're not ripe enough. But yeah, I'll keep those seeds. And look at that, it's even like, it's kind of quite wet now that I've sliced it. It's quite wet, it's almost dripping. It's almost dripping. Beautiful fruit. I guess it's been raining so much. They were very wet. The tree was very wet when I picked this fruit. Oh yeah, tastes good too, eh? Tastes good. Yep, I'm not a big fan of yellow papaya, but I've only ever had a few that I liked, and this is definitely one of them. This one is very good. Extremely delicious papaya. And I found it almost tastes creamy. It's sweet. It's so light it just melts in your mouth. You know, like cutting it then, it was like cutting melted butter. It just sliced open so easy. And yeah, I find them sweet, and they've almost got like a creaminess about them. Just quite superb. They really are. I'm so lucky I got this tree. Yeah, and now I got 3 new females, and I've left 1 male. I had a few other males, but I've cut them out, and I've left 1 male there at the backyard in the jungle. And 2 of those are just coming into their own now, actually. They're about 1.5 years old, and this year they're putting out quite a bit of fruit. Well, maybe a bit more than 1.5 years old. They were pot bound for a while. They were in small pots for too long, but then when I put them out in the backyard there, they took off really quick. It's a big plant. It's a big, strong papaya plant, I find. It's much stronger than the dwarf ties. Grows much bigger. It seems to resist disease and insect attacks a lot better. I had, you may have known from previous videos, I had a really bad fruit spotting bug infestation in this yard, and it would virtually kill my dwarf ties, but this Hawaiian Gold could live through it. But still, my Hawaiian Golds at the backyard, I had to chop them back because they did get such a hiding from the fruit spotting bug. But this year I've been all clued up on how to deal with the fruit spotting bug, thanks to some of the good people in Oz Rare Fruit, the Oz Rare Fruit page on Facebook. I've learnt some very good tips in there over the last few years, and I'd never even heard of fruit spotting bug, never had any problems with it before. Well, and actually, when I heard about it, I was having problems, but I couldn't figure out what was going on. I knew it was some sort of bug or borer. And then I started reading people talking about this fruit spotting bug on the Oz Rare Fruit Facebook page, and I realised that's what I had. And now I'm doing the right spraying program. I was using pyrethrin. You know, for the last 40 years, pretty much all I've ever needed is pyrethrin insecticide to kill pests. And that's organically certified. It's allowed to use pyrethrin in organic gardens, but it just wasn't strong enough for my problem, I found. And like, pyrethrin is a contact spray. It has to actually hit the bugs, and it will only kill in about the first 24 hours of spraying it, and it just wasn't enough to deal with this fruit spotting bug problem. And yeah, people in the Oz Rare Fruit spoke of permethrin, claiming I had to use permethrin, and I didn't want to do it. But after more trial and error, I reluctantly decided to step up to permethrin. And permethrin is a chemical copy of pyrethrin. Okay, the pyrethrin comes from the pyrethrin daisy, and it's a very natural poison, but it's still a poison. But permethrin is a chemical copy, and that makes it, one of the benefits is it's more persistent. I can spray with permethrin, and if the weather's dry, it will continue to kill bugs for even a month, up to a month, even longer potentially. But you can be killing bugs for a month after spraying in dry weather with the permethrin. And that's what I needed to get that fruit spotting bug. I needed that permethrin for it to have a longer kill, and it doesn't have to be a contact poison. It will kill them further down the track. So yeah, last year my papaya, the outside of the fruit, had lots of fruit spotting bug bites, but this year it's perfectly clean. It's beautiful and clean. Actually, there's a couple of bites that have just been recent since it's been in the house, ripening up. But otherwise it's perfectly clean. Just beautiful looking fruit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm real happy with that. That's really nice. And I'll give you a taste test. Like, of course I'm going to say it's good. Oh, look, even there, that's interesting too. Again, it's a bit deformed. Look at that. And I put it down again to trace elements. See how it's fatter on that side than that side. Isn't that interesting? The flesh there. Yep, and I'm pretty sure if I get my trace elements right, give that tree some more trace elements, the fruit will be more symmetrical, better balanced. You know what I mean? I'll cut it open and both sides will look identical, and I could slice through any side of it and everything will be symmetrical. Whereas it's kind of a little deformed. Because, again, it's a very sandy soil. There's basically zero nutrients in my soil. So I've got to add trace elements every 6 months, really, for good growth. Anyway, here goes. We'll put the spoon in. Yep, it just cuts in very easy. Very soft flesh. And I'll give it a try. Oh yeah, and it's amazing. It just disintegrates. It just melts in my mouth. It's so soft. Don't have to chew it, just touch it with the tongue. And it just falls to pieces and turns to puree. It's really nice, hey? It's so good. See, it's just turned to liquid. It's amazing. Yeah, that's as good as it gets. That's yeah, a very beautiful fruit. It's been a while since I've had one. It's been a few months. I think my last fruit might have been about August, September, October. I can't be sure, but it was sort of in the later part of last year. But it's back now. I'll be getting a few every week now. Or I should be. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. It's really good. Just beautifully ripe. It would have been better to ripen it on the tree, but I just can't get away with that anymore with with the flying foxes, with the fruit bats. They'll beat me every time. So I've got to pick them greener these days, unfortunately. Yeah, but that's ripened up very nicely, just in the house. I think it's been about 3 days. It's been picked. Yeah, and that's really good fruit. You just can't go wrong with that tree. This could almost turn me. You know, I've been a big lover of the red papaya, but this tree is so good. Hey. And if you notice at the beginning of this video, I bought this fruit by accident. I thought I was buying a red bisexual, and there was red bisexuals and Hawaiian Golds for sale side by side in Bunnings. And I bought 5 of what I thought were red bisexuals. And 4 of them turned into males, so I was spewing. And 1 turned into this thing. So yeah, I was pissed off. And especially when I ate the first fruit, and I was saying the first fruit was deformed and it tasted bad. It wasn't good because it was so low on nutrients. Just growing in the sand and no trace elements. And after eating the first fruit, I was spewing. I was so pissed off at Bunnings that it was yellow. You know, I thought I'd bought a bisexual red. Well, I bought 5 of the damn things, bisexual reds. 4 turned into male. You know, I ended up chopping 3 out and left 1 male. And that's when I got really determined and got my dwarf ties. I got them directly from Thailand. But they still weren't, you know, there's still a few problems with my dwarf ties too. But yeah, I was spewing, and it's just sheer accident, and I've just stumbled upon this fruit, and it's bloody good. And there's a slight possibility I'm wrong, but I'm mostly sure this is a Hawaiian Gold. There might be other people who could verify that for me too out there, other papaya experts. But yeah, like I said, there was the dwarf, there was a bisexual red papayas and Hawaiian Golds for sale in Bunnings, side by side. Couldn't tell the difference between them. And I bought 5 bisexual reds. That was what the tag said. So all I can put it down is they've mixed the tag up. So, you know, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming these are Hawaiian Golds. But whatever they are, they're really good. They are really, really good. And I'll be growing more of these. Never expected to. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Beautiful fruit. You know, the yellows sort of have a bile-like taste. Would tend to. They've sort of got a... Yeah, it tastes like bile, stomach bile. There's just something that's not quite right about the damn things. Tends to. Years ago I had a very nice round yellow that was very good too. That didn't have that bile-like taste, and it was quite sweet. Now there is some nice yellows around. But yeah, this is the best ever. I don't think I've ever tasted a yellow as good as this. Let's see if I can show you how easy it just crushes. Look at that. Just turns into puree. Look, it's just with the lightest of effort of that spoon, and there it is, just puree. It's just so light and fluffy. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, and it's kind of creamy. I know that sounds unusual for a papaya, but I would describe it as sweet and kind of creamy. Yep. Light. Just melt in your mouth. Like it literally just turns to puree in your mouth. Beautiful. Such a nice fruit. So lucky to have jagged this tree. And And it's successes like this that make me want to go back into growing large amounts of papaya again. Because I did have a small papaya farm once, about 17 years ago. And yeah, I really love growing these plants. I really do. And I've still got a bit of ground, and sometimes I do dream about going back to that ground and trying again. And I didn't do too bad, but the drought beat me. It's a very arid spot where I grew my papaya. And that can be good because it's a spot that really brings out the sugars in fruit. And I had some very nice trees, plants. Plants is the real name for them. I'd prefer to call them trees personally, I always have. But yeah, it's an area that really brings out the sugars, but it just got too dry on me. I just had to abandon my plants, my little small papaya farm. I didn't even go back to see its demise, but I imagine it just blew away in the wind. It just got so dry. We had a terrible drought. This was back in about, back in about 2004. I think that's about it, 2003, 2004. I had the money, my dams were bone dry, but I had the money to get a bore, to put a bore in. There's good spots to put a bore in on this land, get the underground water. But when I rang the guy up, the local guy, there was just so many people who also wanted to get bores. There was just a big long list of people who were just desperate to get underground water, and there was a 1 year waiting list. So yeah, I put myself down. I had to wait a year for him to come and bore my ground, put a bore in and get some water out of the ground for me. So by then it was too late. I'd already lost the papaya. And I just gave up. Like he did ring me, he said, you know, I'm ready to go for you. And I said, nah, don't worry about it, mate. I'd already given up. And that's when I was first learning about the Philippines. I was starting to seriously think, well, I want to live in the Philippines. I've had enough of it here in Australia. Yeah. And that's when my first adventures in the Philippines started, in 2005. Well, that's another story. Oh yeah, very good fruit. Hey, if you could only taste it, you would love it. I don't think many people would not like it. It's just superb. Yeah, not many seeds there, hey. Some farmers might even say it's not very viable because it's got so few seeds. It's lighter. The fruit's much lighter. Yeah, I think a lot of them would prefer to sell it with more seeds because it's heavier. It's heavier fruit. If they're going to go to the effort to pick something that size, a lot of farmers would probably prefer the fruit to weigh more. I don't know. But it's funny how people think like that. Greed drives their decisions. When I think there's a lot to say for just playing it straight, you know. And if you had this product, a lot of people would see it for what it is, you know, once they know how good it is. And just having a few seeds is even more benefit, really, because the fruit is lighter. and you're just getting the good papaya flesh. You're not paying for seeds. Yeah, it's so nice to eat it. I've been eating these for years and I'm just as happy now as I was years ago. And the good thing is, like, it's autumn now and we're heading towards winter, and the local papayas in the shops, they're just absolute garbage in winter. They're just terrible. So this tree sustains me, keeps me going through winter. And I still buy their rubbish papayas, but I still persist with them, but they're not very good. But these are just an absolute delight. Yeah, very good. This is living, man, you know, when you're eating food like this. This is when you're living like a king. Hey, when you got the good stuff. When you got the good stuff, that's it, eh? Just such beautiful stuff. Well, I hope you like to see that, my friends. And if you like the video, hope you give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe me. I'm looking for subscribers. I've only got a few so far, and the more subscribers the better. The more incentive I'll have to keep making videos. Yeah, that is just a really beautiful papaya. Look how pureed that is already. It's just so soft and fluffy. And yeah, I'm nearly 100% sure this is an Hawaiian Gold. So if you ever see these around, Hawaiian Golds, give them a try. I think, you know, if it's anything like this, you will not be disappointed. And to grow the trees, it's a very productive tree. A big, strong, productive tree. Grows a huge amount of fruit. Okay, my friends. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.